My name is Derek. This is a chronicle of my hobby. Welcome to the Throne of Angels.
Well, if you've been in the hobby for any length of time, chances are you've bought used models. So I'm going to talk specifically about models that you buy online, right, via eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, not the stuff you get at the swap meet or the local hobby shop that sells used models, but online purchases. So you may be picking up some used models for a game that you want to try, right? New models, new game. Or new models for an army for your favorite game. New models, new army, favorite game. Or new models for your favorite army for your favorite game. New models, favorite army, favorite game. Yeah, I'm really not doing that for any reason other than just to entertain myself. Or you could be like me with a problem. I've got a problem. Hi, my name is Derek and I'm a confrontation addict. I buy confrontation models because I absolutely love the line, right? I am addicted to confrontation models from Reclamation. Company that was around in the 90s, in the early O's, and kind of fell apart, right? There's all sorts of documentation on it. If you don't know about it, you can search it up and read it. But I'm going to show you some confrontation models today, as I have picked up quite a few used lots. Now, like me, if you buy used models online, say from eBay, and this is very common with eBay, chances are they've shown up in one of those. In one of these. Right? They've shown up in the almighty sandwich bag. When you get 50 models in a sandwich bag, it's almost a crime against the hobby. Like, really. But it happens, and quite honestly, it happens more often than not. Of the last 4 confrontation lots that I have purchased, 3 of them have shown up in sandwich bags. So, with that, thus was born the Operation Reclamation idea, right? I have well over 1,000 confrontation models. Now, the line itself had well over 1,000 models. I don't have every model, but I do have models for every army. And generally in multiples, most times in large multiples. Longtime viewers will recall that I actually have an Age of Sigmar dwarf army that is nothing but confrontation models, with the exception of one model that was from a line called Anasteer by Paolo Parente. If I can figure it out, I'll put a link up in one of the corners like all the other YouTubers do. If I can't, then just put it below. We'll see if I can manage. But anyways, I have a lot of confrontation models. And quite honestly, some of them are just to collect, right? Just so I have them. Some of them are for army concepts that I talk about and that never get done. And some of them just sit around because they're models that came in these job lots or these lots that I purchased that I will never have any purpose for. Or they're massive multiples, right? So today's Operation Reclamation is just such a case. I have 6 Vargars. I don't need 6 Vargars. I have 4 sets of Predators of Blood. I don't need 4 sets of Predators of Blood. Now these came in a job lot of Wolfen. There was 2 models in that lot that I wanted. So I bought the entire lot just for 2 models. Like I said, very common thing for me to do. But I figured, why not, since confrontation is still well loved, still played, take the models that I either have extras of or the models that I don't want, repair them, paint them, and then sell them to the community that will use them. It's a brilliant idea. It may or may not work, but hey, it'll be some fun for me and maybe some fun for you. So let's take a look at the first ever Operation Reclamation. Today we're actually going to start out on the floor. What the hell, Oz, I hear you saying? Well, I don't have enough room on my desk for all this stuff, so it is on the floor. These are 2 of the last 4 lots that I have purchased, right? There's one here on the right from France and one here on the left from Pennsylvania. Now, One was bought through eBay, the Pennsylvania lot, and one was bought through Facebook, the French lot. I will take a couple of the trays, stick them up on my desk, and we'll take a look at a few things up close and personal, just so you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a job lot. We're gonna have a quick look at a few models from each of these lots. Now, I use basically food prep trays, which sometimes makes my wife mad for sorting trays for different projects. So as you can see, this all woofing, right? Now there's a model here. Obviously he's been pinned. The arm pin is great, but his spear is bent like crazy, broken. It's going to require some extra work. Right, we've got a repentant model here. He should have an axe and a head. No axe head or head. So there's missing pieces and missing parts generally in the job lot. It happens, right? So this is one of two that I'm going to show you. And two of two is mostly lions. There's some griffins up here, but I'm not going to look at those. We're going to look at the lions. And the reason we're going to look at the lions is because they were notorious for this simple problem here, breaking off at the ankles, right? I have models that are obviously missing their feet, busted off at the ankles. That's not this one. That one is probably somewhere else. But also, you know, you can see really, really, really bad glue jobs that are going to require some extra time and some extra effort to clean up. But all the paint obviously has been stripped off for the most part, and these guys are ready for quote-unquote reassembly. It's just going to take a little bit of work, but once I get it done, we'll get some paint on them, and then we'll get them out into the wild. So with that, let's take a look at the first set that I'm working on. Here's the first set of models that I'm working on, right? We've got Vargar and 3 Predators of Blood. And like I said, I've got 6 of this guy. There's no need to have 6 of this guy. He's a great model. I love him. Wonderful pose. Absolutely phenomenal details. But again, no reason to have 6. I've got 4 sets of these guys. A couple of them still new in box. So with that in mind, I'm going to take these guys, and they did come with the French lot. This actually is a molded base. You can see that it is plaster there. What I had to do there, he didn't actually have a base. Again, job lot, missing pieces. Didn't have a base, and he's very much built for this specific base, right? It's actually metal piece part of his kit. So I went, opened up one of my other ones, made a mold of the base, and put the base on this model. So if you guys saw the last episode, you saw that these guys were featured in the Base Works video for the MiG or Ammo by MiG wargaming series that I'm kind of starting. But they're also, like I said, set 1 for Operation Reclamation. So I've taken Vargar, I've taken kind of a simple paint scheme concept with him in regards to just going with a monochrome or monochromatic style. So he's going to be mostly grays, whites, and blacks for the most part. Probably add in a little bit of an off color in a greenish brown, but we will see. Now, first Predator Blood. This guy is the one I've spent the most time on. Essentially, I just want to make him nice and white, and I think I'm fairly happy with where his skin tones are at. So he's going to get a simple glaze, and then we are going to move on to his weapons and leather details. These other two have just gotten a quick color scope with some Army Painter speed paints. What do I mean by color scope? Well, essentially I do a nice zenithal highlight and then throw either 1 or 2 colors down to give myself a base work to work off of. That's how I use speed paints. I use them essentially to outline what I want to do or what I want to accomplish in a color stretch. Now, as most of you know, those of you who've been around for a while, I like to go from highs to lows, right? I like to shade in as opposed to highlight up. So I generally tend to start with really bright colors and then work into the darker recesses. Now, the speed paints really allow me to push the boundaries of how I do that, and I absolutely love them for that. I'll talk about that more later on when I talk about the speed paints specifically. But this won't be tutorial-esque, won't be a tutorial site. I'm not doing that whole tutorial thing. Essentially, I just want to show you guys what I'm doing and essentially how I do it. Right, so again, like I said, I build myself a nice color palette. No, it's not really a color palette. I take 2 or 3 colors, and in this case, I was using aged hide from the new 2.0 set along with peachy flesh, right? So what I've done is I've stacked those two colors on this model, obviously, and pushed sort of where I want the highlights and where I want to shade down. I've done the same with this model using warrior skin and sand golem, right? So I'm stacking colors to come up with essentially what I want to see in regards to color layout, so to speak, right? Now, I'm a high contrast kind of guy. I love high contrast paint schemes, and most of my paint schemes, as you guys have seen through the years, are generally all high contrast in one way or another. That's not going to change. As you can see from this guy, he's super high contrast, and really all I've done is grays and whites for the most part. This guy I did start at gray and highlighted up, but again, I'm going to glaze him down with a simple light gray and move forward from there. Again, Vargar is going to stay in that monochromatic style and get a little bit more, obviously, smooth texture applied to what's going on there, because he's kind of chalky at the moment. But that's essentially where I'm at for the first set of Operation Reclamation. Now, with that being said, let's jump into the wrap. And the wrap. All right. As I said, this is not, nor will it ever be, a tutorial site. So as we jump into Operation Reclamation and kind of some new formatting in regards to how we're doing things here on the channel, don't expect me to teach you guys how to paint. Now, you're more than welcome to ask questions on how I accomplish something or the process in which I use if I don't go over it, obviously, in the video. But with some of the new changes, right, I really want to focus on showing you guys a little bit more about what I do and how I approach it, right, thought processes and things of that nature, as opposed to me just talking about great ideas and concepts, which has kind of been how I've gone about this channel for years. So, with that, step one of Operation Reclamation has been accomplished, right? I got a bunch of models in, I got a bunch of stuff painted, and I got a bunch of, well, I didn't actually get a bunch of stuff painted. I got a bunch of models in, I got a bunch of models cleaned, and I got a bunch of stuff sorted for this process, right? Now, the last lot that I bought, still sitting over here on the floor. We took a quick look at that, and I need to sort it. I don't know what I'm keeping, and I don't know what I'm going to throw into this project. But at the end of the day, it's all fun and games, right? Hopefully, all fun and games. But anyways, if there is something you guys would like to see in regards to a job lot reclamation, you know, whether it's a 40K project or an Age of Sigmar project, Infinity, God, you name it, I'm willing to give it a shot, right? Because mainly it's just about, for me at this point, kind of pushing myself through the hobby. I do make it a point, 1 hour at the bare minimum a day, and I generally get that in. Yesterday and the day before, it was literally all about printing models, right? So I've been printing these gigantic orcs from Puppets War, and I started in on the Bushi Orc Warriors, because these are fun, right? I got a project coming up, idea for this. I'll get into that in a later episode. Excuse me. But with that, wrapping it really quick, getting things in and out, Operation Reclamation, let me know what you think. As always, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you soon. All right. Crack myself up. And the